In this episode, the trust gap in Kenyan real estate. Every year, everybody loses money on Kenyan property, not because the market is bad, but because they trusted the wrong person. Today, we're talking about the trust gap in Kenya's real estate industry, why unverified listings are dangerous, why the classifieds model has failed buyers, and what it actually means to work with a real professional. I'm Kuya, and this is Are They Home Conversations. And this episode could save you from a very expensive mistake. Please like, subscribe, and join us in the comment section below.
Boys. So let's jump into our first topic for today, which is the trust gap in the Kenyan real estate, which I think is a big thing, has been a big thing for quite some time with Kenya. So if we start with the big picture, so one of the biggest issues in Kenyan real estate today, of course, is the trust gap. And so a lot of people still interact with the market almost like classified boards, like Craigslist. Someone posts a property, a number is attached, and the buyer is left trying to figure out, what is actually real, what is legitimate, and whether the process is actually safe. So, from your perspective, one boy, why is that model breaking down now, and what does a serious agency like Regal do differently?
All right, that's a very good question. And in fact, that's one of the things that I really love about Athi Homes and what you're trying to do, because the people who are posting on your platform are registered estate agents. So these are people who do this work professionally and have been given the authority by the government of Kenya. As you rightfully put, a lot of these opportunities are shared like it's classified, like a Craigslist. So anybody, what we call brokers or quacks, are able to just go in and say, I have this land, I have this apartment, I have this office space, this retail space, and they put a flyer, go on the website and be able to list. Now, have they verified the opportunities? Do they know if it's a real property? Have the title been verified? A lot of these things are lacking because these people don't have or do not know what they need to do to verify these properties, right? So if you look at a lot of marketing platforms, and this is something that I really want to share with the diaspora, if you look at these marketing platforms, and there are very many in Kenya,
Yep.
they do not verify the listing people. So all I need to do is pay to join this listing platform, right? And I might not even have been given authority by the property owner to sell, or I have maybe never even, but the person who is setting up this marketing platform will allow me to post because I have paid I'm an agent. So one of the things that we have seen is people have both rented and bought property out of a listing in these different listing platforms, and they want the right property, right? And they
Yep.
lost money. So what we need to do in Kenya, and which is what I said that I was willing to now see what you're doing at our homes and what your team is that we want to verify these properties, or at least we need to verify the entity behind the listing, right? So that we can trust that what they're doing is correct. And if, for example, Regal Africa, because I'm a registered estate agent, if for any reason I have done any negligence to get you to lose money, then there is to that. One of
Exactly.
the things that for registered estate agents, you have to have what is called a professional indemnity insurance cover. So just like any professional, if they did negligent, you can actually go to the board, which
Yep.
is the State Agents Registration Board, let them know that what I did was fraudulent or negligent, and I will be struck off. I can never work in Kenya as an estate agent, and also insurance will cover. But if you go through these registered platforms, is what repercussions do you have, right? So
Yeah.
basically, what we're seeing that is happening in the market is there's a correction. People are saying that is this is it. Who do I trust to help me acquire the property that I want? And that is what now these solutions are coming out in the market. So I'm very excited that there's a correction. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. That's a great answer. I think the most important things you're touching on when it comes to that visibility. I think accountability is huge as well, right? So the one thing again why we went with this route with Earthy Home was the agent or the company, they have something to lose. Like your licensing. I know the process is pretty rigorous because I'm talking to different agents who don't have their licensing, and it's fairly rigorous. I have to get my licensing too. It's going to help with so many different things. So I think because visibility is super important, credibility is super important, because you worked hard, you paid money to get this license, you're paying money to sustain this license, so it's very, very important. And I think that should honestly really help with the buyer to know that, hey, just walking into RD home, you will see nothing that has not been verified, and so everybody here who is posting has something to lose. And on the platform, we will name and shame if somebody does something fraudulent, and of course, rightfully report them to the government, so they can go to due process. And so, really love how Regal was. I mean, I'm so glad I saw Regal online, and I'm glad that you guys engaged me. So I've been ghosted so many times, boy, you have no idea, but I'm sure you do because you have your own business. But it's the part of the grind.
Yeah, something to add, Claire. You see, because yes, I run my business, but I also worked at corporate. I used to work for Bank of America, and
Mhm.
I know how it is to run a good, credible organization and put
Yes.
customer service at the core. So that
Yes.
is why it's very important for us, not only the product, but the service that we offer. One of the things I would really like the diaspora to know, if you're going to buy a property in the States, the person who sells that property to you
Yep.
has to be registered, right? Yeah. And you verify
Yep.
this property on the MLS system, right? And no
Publicly.
one can put property on the MLS system unless they have their license to work as a realtor. So
Exactly.
that same system is what is needs to be done in Kenya. The
Yeah.
interesting thing about Kenya is we have a law since 1982, which I said was the Estate Agents Act. It just
Hmm.
hasn't been enforced. So we're trying to say just the same way if you're in the States or if you're in the UK or anywhere in the world, we have systems that regulate the real estate industry. Yes. So just the same way, like I said, the realtor who's working in your neighborhood is the same thing that you need to know should be done in Kenya.
Exactly, exactly. I completely agree with you on that. The system, we need to have institutions that actually work. I think we need to have process that actually works, and that safeguards the buyer and the customer. And so I think your level of professionalism so far working with you guys has been fantastic. And so again, when our clients want to work with us, they'll definitely get that same level of care. And we know that your money is hard earned. And again, we want to make sure we earn your trust. That way, you can recommend your peers, your friends to our platform. So that's fantastic.